Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome back to Reading. I came up here off camera. I delivered off camera, and we are getting ready to go pick up a digger, another digger, and we're going to take it to Oregon. So let's hop in here first. Let's get this going because we don't have sat-nav in-dash. Brake is off. Let's back this up, and we'll get out of here. How's everybody doing? It's Sunday for me. It's Monday for you. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope your week is coming together nicely. I had a pretty good week. The week before, I had a week of Mondays. The whole week, every day felt like Monday. But it's been a little better. It's been improving, but you know what? Even when it's not great, still nothing to complain about. You know, I got a pretty good life. Very lucky guy. What else is going on? Gaming. We're hearing more and more about... Concentrating. We're hearing more and more about 1.37, so I'm looking forward to that. I think we're probably a couple months out. And then Iberia and Idaho as well. Really looking forward to both of those. I'm looking forward to, on the ATS side, I'm looking forward to all of Europe, more or less all of Europe being covered now, because we'll have from... the fact that they're saying Iberia instead of Spain, I imagine Portugal will be included in there as well. And, carefully... And yeah, that will take us from Portugal all the way to the Baltics and from Scandinavia all the way to Turkey. That's Europe, man. That is damn near all of Europe. Hey, if we pass a fuel stop, I am going to pull in. I got to remember that as well. So looking forward to both of those. On the Train Sim World side, we got a new Loco DLC for Peninsula Corridor. Been having fun playing in that. We're getting another route next week. That's going to be the Canadian, I can't remember the name of it, but it is Canadian. It's going to be a freight railroad. I believe it's a reskin of two of the locos that we already have. There may be some differences that, to me, as sort of a casual rail fan, are not very noticeable, but I'm sure to a serious rail fan, you know, the difference between the locos that we have on CSX Heavy Haul or the UP loco, freight loco that we have in Peninsula Corridor, I'm sure the differences are profound. So we'll get that going. I will buy that as soon as it's released and get a video up for you. What else is going on? Assetto Corsa Competizione is good and getting better every day. I don't know how long they can stretch that franchise out, but I hope it's for a long time. And when I say franchise, I guess because Assetto Corsa was a single game, and then they released DLC for it, and it sort of stayed a single game. Now, there is supposed to be Assetto Corsa 2, because, turn that turn signal off, back that down carefully, don't hit the pump island, don't hit the curb. This is a big truck. I mean, I know they're all big trucks, but this Viper 389 is a handful. Right. Engine off, get some fuel going. So yeah, Assetto Corsa Competizione was not Assetto Corsa 2. And there have been rumors for the longest time that there will be an Assetto Corsa 2, and it will be essentially Assetto Corsa and everything that it is in terms of cars and tracks and sort of the vibe, you know, of having citizen cars in there as well, not just race cars as Assetto Corsa Competizione has. But it will have the physics and the graphics of Assetto Corsa Competizione. So Assetto Corsa, you could say, is not really a franchise, not yet. And I'm curious if Assetto Corsa Competizione is going to follow that model and just be a standalone that rolls for 4 or 5 or 6 years, and then it just sort of is done, you know, doesn't really grow anymore, or whether it's going to be the kind of thing where we have a new Assetto Corsa Competizione every year. I would prefer the latter, honestly, because I think it's a great game and I want it to stay fresh and new and enjoyable. I'm sure there will be DLC. There was an update that just added a bunch of teams and liveries. I'm sure that will happen all the time. As far as them adding cars, I hope that the cars are free via DLC, or, well, I guess it'd be more of an update than a DLC, but I hope that those are free because, carefully, right through here, because it's more, to me, it's more of a single player game than an online game. And I hope they don't go the model of iRacing where if you want to drive a car, you have to buy it. I would prefer that they go with the single player model where all the cars are available. Pick the one you like and use that for a career. But we'll see. But Assetto Corsa Competizione is really, really good if you haven't checked it out yet. I definitely recommend it. What else is going on? Nothing. Nothing really. Carefully. Right in there. Let's back this down to neutral. Set the brake. We don't have to, but I do anyway. Let's see what we got here. We had several hours to get over here to pick this thing up, so I think we're okay. Yeah. 40,000 pounds. We're taking it to Coos, and they want us to go out this little twisty road and then up the coast. I guess there's really no other way to get there unless we went all the way to Newport and then came back down. So we'll take it. And where is it? It looks like right over there in the corner somewhere. Let's go third person. Brakes off. Here we go. So what's the topic for this week? The topic is online gaming and netcode. Let's establish some baselines. Let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing at the same time. When people say netcode, what they're talking about is this game just effed me via netcode. But what netcode actually is it's the voodoo, and it actually is voodoo. It's witchcraft, man. It is not right. There's something very unnerving about netcode. But what netcode does, right? Let's back up a step. So when you're playing online, if you're playing something like Farm Sim, who cares how well things synchronize? You know, there's nothing really mission critical going on, and it's not competitive. When you think about something like iRacing, or PUBG, or Fortnite, I mean, iRacing is bad enough. Any racing, any online racing, that's bad enough. But when you think about shooting, see what's happening is we're getting people closer and closer together, and they're doing things that involve greater and greater speed. Well, why is that a big deal? It's because of ping and lag. We can get out of here this way. We can get out of here this way. 321 miles. This should work out just about right. Here we go. Once you bring lag in, and I mean, even in a LAN, you have some lag, but it's minuscule. But once you bring proper lag in, and proper lag is anything from, I don't know, 10 to say 75 milliseconds. That's acceptable, and in some ways it is unavoidable. It's just the nature of the internet. But once your ping gets up above about 100 milliseconds, that's a tenth of a second, now things are getting really critical. Because if you think about a race sim, think about a race, right? You've got two drivers competing for first, and they are turning laps within a tenth of a second of each other. And then you spread that tenth of a second over 2.5 miles, which is the length of a lap, for our example, right? At an average speed of 100 miles an hour. Tenth of a second difference at any given moment. How far apart are those cars? Well, they're not, man. They're running bumper to bumper. So a difference in space of a tenth of a second, right? Tenth of a second is time, but because we have speed, it's also represented as space. Where was that car a tenth of a second ago? If there is a tenth of a second error in the location of that car, it could occlude the other car. They could be occupying, or at least the front bumper of one car and the rear bumper of another car could be occupying the same space at the same time. So, to mitigate that, to try to fix that, I really don't want to clip a car leaving the depot. I think we're going to make it. Very close. Oh, just barely. Just barely. To mitigate that, there is something called netcode. And what netcode does is it sort of softens lag, right? It gives a predicted area for cars, for bullets, for punches that you throw, for a lot of things. It just kind of splits the difference. It estimates, right? And it does that using voodoo, using witchcraft. And it sort of works. Sort of works. It's not perfect, but it mostly works. The alternative is unthinkable. The alternative is people just lagging all over the place, and multiplayer becomes virtually impossible. So, let's take a step back here, right? Let's take a step back to think about various technologies that we take for granted and where they were at various points in history. I know when I was a kid, planes crashed all the time. I know this is kind of a grim topic, but just stick with me here. And I'm talking like big planes. I swear, man, when I was a kid, there were, me talk pretty, there were 1 or 2 big plane crashes per year, every year. And then every few years, there would be a really big plane crash. And it's been 15 years, 20 years. Yeah, it's been since 9/11 that there has been like a really big plane crash in the United States. It just doesn't happen anymore. And when it does, it's kind of a big deal, you know. Go back even further than that. In the 1940s and the 1950s, and it wasn't quite the infancy of aviation, but we were really trying to figure things out, and planes crashed all the time. Before that, trains crashed all the time. I'm talking all the time. And it happened so often that it almost wasn't a big deal. It's just, what are you going to do? But we've made that progress. Another example that's a little bit less grim. That doesn't involve quite so much carnage and loss of life. I can just barely remember when I was a kid, the end of the Walkman, right? And the Walkman, if you don't remember it, if you're not familiar, it was a music player, a personal music player, played a cassette. Some of you don't even know what those are. Played a cassette. And the thing was as big as a paperback book. You had to put 8 batteries in it, 8 AA batteries, whatever. And a cassette, a long one, if you got the one with the real thin tape, you could fit 90 minutes of music on there. Oh my goodness, 90 minutes of music. That's crazy. You'd be lucky if you made it through the whole 90 minutes, though, because the batteries go dead. That technology was not as advanced as it is today. Battery technology, right? Rechargeable. What? No. And then we got the Discman. Same way. You didn't have the problems. The Walkman. The Walkman would occasionally eat its own media. Think about that, right? You're riding the subway, listening to your favorite musical artist, reading your newspaper, what have you, and your personal music device, I don't know what the hell else to call it, would consume the media that it was playing. It would eat and destroy its own tape. That's not cool, right? And then we got the Discman. You still had the battery problems, but you didn't have that whole destroying its own media problem anymore. And so on and so on. Now, I don't have any music on my phone. Why would you? My phone has 64 gig of storage base with no card. You can put a card in. I think there's terabyte micro SD cards now. Are there not? You can put a terabyte of storage on there if you want. You can certainly put 500 gig. I know there's 500 gig micro SD. Just unbelievable amounts of storage. You can put all the music in the world on there. Oh dear. But why would you when you can listen to all the music that's ever existed streaming? And, as you go through your daily life, this is a little dicey. As you go through your daily life, you've got all your Wi-Fi, all your hotspots. You got those all, you got your passwords in, you're good to go. You just move from one to another to another. And you never use broadband. My plan now is 2 gig of data per month. And I've rolled it over so many months in a row that I have like 15 gig of data backed up on my broadband, my phone plan. Nobody uses broadband anymore. Why would you? Your Wi-Fi everywhere you go. Bottom line is you can listen to all the music that's ever existed streaming for $10 a month, whatever service you choose to use. And so telling somebody, back in the day, right, that would be unthinkable. Unthinkable. And that is, using that example, that's if your phone is just a music player, but it's not. It's also a video camera, a still camera, right? You FaceTime, GPS, email, text, check your bank balance, right? The technology has exploded. But there was a time, not so very long ago, there was a time when it was not nearly as evolved as it is now. It needed improvement. But at the same time, it was an improvement. So being able to sit on the subway with your headset on, your headphones, and listen to something that you wanted to listen to without disturbing anybody else while you read your newspaper or whatever, that was an advancement. That's why people bought them, because it was better than what had come before. Arguably, it was better than nothing, but that's only looking back rather than forward. You know, even something like headphone cords, right? Bluetooth. Everybody's on Bluetooth now. I got noise canceling Bluetooth earbuds. They're German. They're unbelievable. If you had to put on a headset, you know, with those foam ear things, if you had to put on a headset from the 90s, you know, I'd rather not. I would rather listen to nothing than listen to that. Plus, everybody around you can hear it because it's so loud. So, you see what I'm getting at? It's constantly improving. And every time it improves, it makes what we had before that was an improvement, by comparison, seem awful. Progress. What can you do? So back to netcode. Yeah, it's busted. Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah, we know it doesn't work. But if we want to play online, that's what you do. There's no alternative. And if you think it's bad playing with netcode, try playing without netcode. And what got me thinking about that was both iRacing and Tarkov. Because if you spend any time, I'm still looking for a squad. I've got a squad. But I don't know if it's my final squad. I don't know if, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I could do better. I'm just saying I'm new to the game. I've been playing it for a couple weeks. I want to look around, see if I can find my true squad, my real fam. But you spend time on forums, you spend time on the official Tarkov Discord. And what you see over and over is people saying, I died, therefore somebody was cheating. And to a lesser extent, netcode got me. Sometimes people post clips and you can see, oh yeah, lag got you there, netcode got you there. It's part of the game. But you see the same thing in iRacing. And iRacing is arguably a much more evolved and much more serious sim. And I'm not implying that the iRacing developers are more sophisticated or better at writing code than Battlestate. I don't mean it that way at all. I mean, iRacing is a long-running, well-established platform where people go expecting good, fair, technologically sound racing. And you can and do and have to accept a bit of netcode in iRacing. You see it all the time. And you see it in broadcast events. And the announcers will straight up say, I mean, on the replay, you can see that the cars never got any closer than, probably 2 or 3 feet. And yet they bumped each other via netcode and took each other out. It's part of the game, If that's the best that iRacing can do, and it's a serious sim. Are you seeing this floating police car in front of us? I cannot solve that problem. I don't know why those wheels don't render in until you're right up on top of those cars, but yeah, they float. We'll work on it. In the meantime, we'll try to hang back a little bit so we don't have to see that and break our immersion. And you see people arguing about something like Tarkov, something like iRacing. And the argument goes, this game is broken, this game is not fully developed. And I think, yes and no. There are two aspects to that. Because there's the gameplay itself, or the game itself, and then there's netcode, which is independent of any game. That's a problem that any developer of an online game, they're working on that. In their own way, they're working on that. As far as I know, there is no universal netcode that you license from somebody and plug into your game or sim. I think every developer has to kind of find their own way through that particular minefield. But it's two problems. It's two problems. And the example that I use is cars, right? If you get a Tesla, yes, you're expecting certain growing pains. You're expecting, maybe there's going to be a battery recall. You're expecting maybe there's going to be a problem with the autopilot. Sure, those are new technologies. That's cutting edge. But you're not expecting there to be any problem with the seats. Because we've been making car seats for like 100 years. We've got that dialed. Right? It's like the fork. You can't improve the fork. Fork is done. That technology is it's post-evolution. There's no way to improve the fork. The only argument about the fork is whether you go 2 tines or 3. 4, you can go 4. A lot of people go 4. You don't want to go 1. You can't go 1 because your food spins. But really, the only engineering or design debate about the fork is 2 tines or 3. There's no other way to improve the fork. It's done. It's done. Netcode, not done. So that's an interesting argument to see people having. And in iRacing, right? I do an iRacing event. And I start from the pits. I start from the pits because there's always that big furball in turn 1, lap 1. I can't stand it. I hate getting taken out that way. I start from the pits. I end up mid-pack. I do 45-minute races, right? Middle of the race, as we're cycling through pit stops, I might find myself racing with someone who just sort of showed up behind me. Well, they just pulled out of the pits. They were 40 seconds in front of me till they did their pit stop. Now they're 1 second behind me. And if you're a super, super aggressive person that wants to battle for every position, there's a part of you that's like, oh, you ain't passing me, dog. You ain't passing me, dog. But if you see that person being respectful and being professional and not overdriving the car to the point where they're going to take you both out, I'll let them go by. I know that bugs the shit out of some people. What do you mean you let them go by? It's a race, man. Take every advantage. Well, there's nothing at stake. I'm just practicing. I'm learning the track. I'm learning to drive the car better. No, I'm not going to hold that person up. And I'm not going to risk a catastrophist for both of us. I'm actually going a little bit fast through here. I'm going to slow down a little bit. I'm not going to risk a catastrophist that ends both of our days. I'll let the person go. Because, as I said, we're not racing. We're really not. And carefully. And when I cycle through my pit stop, I will once again be 40 seconds behind that driver. But I don't feel a need to, call out everything as, I don't know, man. It seems like online gaming, as much as we enjoy it, well, let's back up a step. For something to be satisfying when you do it right, it has to be frustrating when you do it wrong. That's in our DNA. It really is. It's the chemicals that our brains release when we do things well and when we do things badly. When things have a good outcome, when things have a bad outcome. We can't control it. It really is the chemicals that our brains release. And, standing up from an office chair, that's not going to release a whole lot of dopamine. But getting a new office chair and putting it together and sitting in it for the first time, that is going to release dopamine. And that's, it goes back to our DNA and, the things that we needed to do to get us out of bed 250,000 years ago. That's a conversation for another day. Bottom line is, if you want that dopamine, you got to do something to get it. And the things you do to get it, if they go badly, that's going to release that cortisol and that adrenaline, and it's going to be exactly the other side of that coin. As good as it's going to feel to do it right, that's how bad it's going to feel when things go wrong. And it is funny for me to see people that they can't deal with that. They can't deal with the other side of that. And I feel like they're not fully processing the fact that if you want it to feel good, you have to risk it feeling bad. If things ever only go well for you, sandbox game, Sure, it's fun and distracting and in kind of a whatever way, but you're never gonna have that satisfaction of having done something right. And we were in Tarkov the other day, myself and a squad mate, and we were moving a little too quickly. We were going up some stairs, and we weren't really clearing them. We were just running up them. And as we got to the landing between the second and third floor, right, it's a little short flight of steps, like 7 or 8 steps, then a landing, then another 7 or 8 steps up to the third floor. So it's like a zigzag staircase. And as we move up between the second and third floors, we get to that little halfway landing, right, halfway between 2 and 3. There's a pile of bodies. And if you play Tarkov for a while, you begin to be able to spot the different types of gear and use that to sort of extrapolate what kind of player that is. This was good, expensive gear, and it hadn't been looted yet. Now, I haven't played the game. I've been playing the game about 3 weeks, and I don't have enough experience to immediately say, this is a death trap. There was a firefight. There was a firefight, and there's like 6 dead players here, high-level players, and nobody has looted them yet. Nobody's taken their gear. Why not? Well, because this is an active ambush. I didn't think that. I didn't really have time to think that, because as we're standing there, staring at this pile of bodies, my partner gets melted. I run back down the steps. We're still on Discord, so we're still talking. The only thing that I could do, maybe, is try to get just enough of an angle in that staircase that without putting myself in any jeopardy, I could bounce a grenade up to the third floor and maybe take this fool out. But I didn't have any grenades. My partner's like, oh, I have grenades. So again, had we cleared that staircase properly, had we used good tactics, good, right? Good movement, good, sound, small unit tactics, perhaps we could have cleared that staircase. I mean, the smart thing to do would have been to be throwing grenades regardless of whether there was a pile of bodies. But as soon as we saw the pile of bodies, we definitely should have hucked a grenade and run back downstairs. But so it goes. Live and learn. I don't have any grenades. Oh, I got grenades. Yeah. I can't get to your body to pick them up. So I try to peek around, and I get melted as well. And that's okay. It's it's just pixels. It sucks when that happens. But I did not immediately run to a forum and say, God damn these campers, these sweaty tryhards. Guy was, I got outplayed. That's a viable strat. Is it a little not cool? Yeah, it's a lot not cool. Hey, guess what? Tarkov is supposed to be accurate and authentic. And if you could do that in the real world, right? If you're whoever, the person who tells you what to do in whatever branch of the military you're in, if they say, I want you to go in that building and I want you to set up an ambush on the third floor, kill everybody that comes up the steps. If you could get into that position that player was in and do what they did, at a minimum, they put down 8 other players. I don't know how many people they got after us, but at a minimum, they put down 8 players. The 6 before us were heavily geared. They might have made $1 million, literally $1 million, because after things calm down, what they're going to do is get up from their ambush, loot all those bodies, including mine, take all that stuff and bounce. Tactically, that's fantastic. What an incredibly efficient way to play. But when it negatively impacts you, your instinct, right, is to say, oh man, that's a bunch of BS. Camper. Cheater. No. You got outplayed. And when someone makes a pit stop in iRacing and ends up on my bumper, right, they just had a 40-second pause in their race, and they're right behind me. That person is faster than me. They got a 40-second lead on me once pit stops wash through. They're faster than me. I'm being outdriven. And you just got to accept those things. And it's a strange balance as a gamer to put all this time and effort and money into these games. Not just buying the games, but buying the hardware to play them on. You put all this time and effort into these games, and when they don't go well for you, to be able to say, it's just pixels. It's just pixels. I don't have anything riding on this. I mean, at the very least, you have say iRacing. At the very least, you have the 40 minutes that you put into that race. You do have something riding on this. You have the satisfaction, you have the, whatever. But you do have something riding on it. It's impossible to care about gaming. It's impossible to game at this level and not care about the outcome. But I do think we can try to be adult enough about it that we can actually not just say GG, but that we can mean it, that we can really mean it, that we can actually like instinctively realize, oh, that cat took me to school. Good for you, man. Good for you. And I think that has less to do with gaming than it does to do with where we are as people. Each of us walking our own path, our own individual growth and progress, that we can be balanced enough and content enough in our own space that we can get there. It is just pixels. And you know what? Over and above that, a whole human life. If you're new to the channel, this is the first time you're if this is the first time you're hearing this sort of thing, this is what we talk about when we drive the truck. Hey man, we got 30 minutes, we got to talk about something. It's going to get a little weird here, but stick with me. In 100 years, not only will all of us be gone, but nobody's even going to know that we were ever here. And that's a little bit, that's rough. But if you want to get the most out of this life, you need to deal with those rough realities. Because I'll tell you what, all of us know the names, the full names, all 3 names, and birthdays. Not just day of the year, but year as well. All of us know that information about our immediate family members, our siblings, our parents, right? How many of you know your grandparents' full names, all 3 names, dates of birth, without looking it up, including year, right? What about great-grandparents? There's approximately 25 years between generations. Your great-grandparents are a mystery to you. And, of course, there's exceptions. There are people that know the genealogy of their family. They can rattle all that stuff off. No problem. But for the most part, your great-grandparents are a complete mystery to you. In 100 years, nobody will even know that I ever lived, including my grandkids and great-grandkids. I'll just be gone. I will be lost in time, in infinity. And I'm completely at peace with that because it's absolutely fair. It happens to every person who lives, with the exception of some people that are very famous. But even then, it's, you stretch it out a little bit. You get maybe 200 or 300 years. Name some famous people from 300 years ago, right? Unless you're a historian, a handful at best. You see what I mean? We all just fade away. So everything that we can do amounts to nothing. And that makes, for me anyway, that makes every day really, really critical and really important. I'm not doing this for any real reason. I'm just doing it. And that means I can be doing it for whatever reason I want. And that, to me, that latitude, that freedom, I find it very empowering. Find a gear to get up this hill. There we go. I find it very empowering. There's a school of philosophy that says the purpose of life is whatever you think it is. The purpose of life is realizing what the purpose of life is, So you just take every day and make the absolute most of it, knowing that it doesn't matter anyway. And I think it should be that gaming is a metaphor for life. But in this case, I think life can almost be a metaphor for gaming. It doesn't matter. But you do it anyway, and you have a great time doing it, right? Because why the hell not? I don't know why this truck is going 10 miles per hour. I'm a bit curious about that. I don't know, man. I don't know if the AI takes into account things like transmission. We're going up a bit of a hill here. We don't have much of a load on. We're pretty powerful. But they may be having... Lost my gear here? Oh, okay. I suppose that's fair. Just as I said that, I lost my gear and lost my momentum and had to hunt around a little bit. So yeah, I guess that's fair. We're getting up out of the hills here, hopefully, and we can get a little Get a little wriggle on. We got about 5 minutes to go. I think this is going to be a 45-minute video because we still got to park this thing. But you know what? It's what we do. It's what we do. We drive the truck. I have to. I don't know if you're seeing how late the wheels spawn in on these police cars. We have got to do something about that. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what is broken in there. I'll take a look. I'll take a look again. Right. So yeah, that's like I said, if it's your first time. If this is your first time watching a portable gamer trucking video, that is actually what we do. We talk about gaming, we talk about life, we talk about how they come together, what it all means. You know what it means? Doesn't mean a damn thing. It really doesn't. We say it does. Gets us out of bed in the morning, but take a deep breath, you know. Go down to a cave in South America, eat you some ayahuasca, take some DMT, open that third eye up, and you realize none of this means a thing. And again, that goes to where you are in your journey, what kind of character you have. The day that you realize none of this means a damn thing, does that make you smile and make every day really count? Or does that make you act like an a-hole? It's different for everybody. It is. I spent a lot of time in the American Southwest. I don't know if you can tell. I spent a lot of time in the American Southwest, and there is definitely plenty of opportunity to expand your mind out there. There's plenty of people that just get high because they really like it. But you will come across a lot of people that will, and I'm not talking about like some burned out dingbat at Burning Man. I'm talking about people with multiple advanced degrees, and they'll have a conversation with you about what it all means. Right, I think we're almost there. Just another couple minutes. This actually went really smoothly. Hey, here's something funny. It's the second time I recorded this video today. We went to a different destination. First time we had a different cargo on. But I recorded the video, and just at the very end, it went completely tits up. It did. I bumped the car, and then I hooked the curb. We had a dolly trailer. Well, a Jeep on a heavy cargo. Couldn't get it turned around. Went around the block, came in the other way. It just, everything went wrong. Truly the last minute of the video, and it was unusable. And I'm glad it worked out that way, because it means we got to record this video, and we got to talk about some different things than I talked about in that other one. And I like it, man. I really do. I like being surprised. Lane Staley. I don't know if you know who that is. Lane Staley said, "Every day, I surprise and amaze myself." What an incredible way to live. And I have to agree. If you're not surprising yourself, if you're not amazing yourself, if you're not on a daily basis doing something that you've never done before, or doing something that you didn't think that you would be capable of doing, and you got to get after that, because there's something really cool about finding that you've got another gear, finding something within yourself that you didn't think you had. It's a very, very nice feeling. I hope all of you have it. Maybe not on a daily basis. I mean, that'd be ideal. But even if it's not on a daily basis, I hope you get it from time to time, because it's about the best thing I know. And on that note, let's get this fake truck driven what? Let's get this fake truck driven into our destination. I think I was going for delivered right there. And I think that's what happened. Let's get this cargo delivered. Let's get this truck driven. I don't know. Hey, you know what, man? I think we're going to make it. Yeah, you know what, man? I don't remember what comes after that. I had the beginning and then the end ran out. Hey, you know what, man? Yeah, me neither. All right, so we'll stop here. Be a good, responsible truck driver. This will give me an opportunity to hit the coffee. Down there, neutral. Set the brake. Drink the coffee. Iced cold brew, very strong, And I didn't have time to get to the market yesterday, so I didn't get my power creamer. Power creamer? What's power creamer, ill will? Power creamer is, it's like butterfat, coconut milk, MCTs. I think there's some other stuff in there. But it's, I don't know, man. The stuff pours like syrup. I think it's supposed to be added to hot coffee. Because when you put it in iced coffee, it thickens up right away. You gotta like kind of blend it in there. But man, it's like having a milkshake for breakfast, but in a responsible kind of way. Is that a milkshake? No, it's iced coffee with power creamer in it. It's more or less a milkshake, but it is actually good for you. And I feel a little bit. I don't feel quite as. I don't know. I'm more sharp when I have my power creamer. Could be placebo. Could be that's just confirmation bias, but it certainly seems that way. So yeah, check that out. If you're looking to pump your day up a little bit, I mean either one of the two. You go with that extra strong iced coffee. You can go with that power creamer. You combine the two, get you some rocket fuel. Right. We're going over here, and then a nice little hiccup. Try to edit that out. It's been a day, man. I'm telling you what, and I just don't feel like recording this a third time. So you're getting the hiccup. That's how that works. Right. So we go right here, and no, don't have to go down quite that far, and hopefully we can get this thing in one swing, because we did run long today. I thought this was a pretty short trip, but we were going really, really slow up the coast. There we go. It's a pretty short light. I think we've talked about that. The lights have to be short because you can't compress time everywhere and not compress the time for the lights. It screws everything up. That's what I was told. Oh, here we go. Our fantastic 3D signs. I can see where we're dropping off. Is this the one that goes inside the warehouse? Yeah, I think it is. So this is a pull-through. Is it? No, we do have to back it in. There's a forklift behind this one. I think this can be a pull-through, but the forklift has to go away. All right. So we'll pull in here. That's what I would do. If it was me, if I was pulling into this place at almost midnight, I would tell one of the helpers to move that forklift. All right. So we go around here. Finally, we are here. Don't hook that. We're good there. So we want to go down here. How do we want to do this? I think we'll turn that off. Yeah, I think we need to back all the way in there. Let's get a good gear here. Yeah, I think we need to back in there from out here. I don't think there's quite enough room to turn it around. I mean, this isn't the longest trailer, but I feel like there's not quite enough room to turn around back in that other yard. So we'll go in this way and just back up the whole way. Okay. So right about there. It's feeling pretty good. Here we go. And I want to jackknife this thing just a little bit to get it to kick over through the gate, but not a ton. Right? Because we still, yeah, that's plenty. And then we can just go right back over to driver's right. There we go. So concentrated, by the way. When I get quiet like that, I'm just concentrating. I didn't forget about you. And I think that's not 100% centered, but I'm going to take it. That was not the worst one we've ever done. Right. Parking lights on. Engine is off. Let's see how we did. Oh, how late were we? Well, we were pretty late. $7,000. That stings. But we did level up. But we're already, I think 36 is our max level, so we don't get any more bonuses or benefits. What can you do? Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. We'll see you next time. Take care now.